Not happy with your distributor? Thinking about changing to a different one? You're going to want to watch this video. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben Salisbury. Our consulting agency helps wineries and craft distilleries improve their sales strategy and their sales process. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Sometimes consulting clients come to me and they want my advice about whether or not they should change distributors. And as I listen to their reasons for wanting to do it, it reminds me of a couple that's contemplating divorce. It's the same kind of themes. I'm not getting what I thought I would get out of the relationship. I thought that things would be different once they took on my brand. Perhaps you're thinking that there's something so special and unique about you or unique about your brand that they just can't help be successful. There's other reasons that people want to break away from a distributor and go to a new distributor. The funny thing about this way of thinking is it is a lot like a couple considering divorce, because when you get to the marriage counselor, and believe me, I've been there, one of the things you learn in short order is it's really not the other person's fault. It's all about you and what you could be doing differently. Now that door swings both ways, but that's kind of the subject of this video. So before I tell you whether or not you should change distributors, I have a few questions for you. So my first question for you to consider is, do you have realistic expectations from your distributor? Like all relationships, nothing will derail it faster than having unrealistic expectations. And this word realistic is the key here. It means, what is the reality of the situation? You need to ask yourself, what am I missing? What reality is missing from my expectations? For example, what about the distributor's portfolio? They have a lot of other things to sell. What about the things in their portfolio that are the same category that you're in? Let's say you're with a small distributor and you think life's going to be better with a big distributor, or you're with a large distributor and you think life's going to be better in a smaller distributor with a smaller portfolio. One of the pieces of reality that you need to get a handle on is distributors' sales force. The size of a distributor's sales force is in direct proportion to the size of their portfolio. So large distributors have a lot of salespeople, and people get all starry-eyed and they think about what that could do for their brand. But they fail to consider that that large distributor might have 20,000 suppliers. No exaggeration, 20,000 that they're trying to serve. And a small distributor, while they have fewer salespeople and while they have a smaller portfolio, they also have fewer salespeople. So this is reality. There's only so much a distributor can do for you, and you've got to adjust your expectations to that reality. Other realities that you need to have a cold, hard look at are the competition, the category that you're in, the competitors that are in your price tier. You should ask around. You should ask your distributor. You should ask trusted advisors. You'd be surprised in our industry that even some of your competitors, especially those that are, if you're small, you should talk to other small suppliers. It's a little harder if you're one of the larger ones. But one of the best ways to find out about what's the reality of the market is to read, to subscribe to the Mark Brown newsletter and read it every day, to subscribe to various publications like Shanken and 750 Daily, and just keep yourself educated, because the more educated you are, the better grasp you have of reality. So before you decide to switch distributors, you need to ask yourself, are my expectations realistic and in line with reality? The second question I would ask you before answering your question, should I change distributors, is how often are you or someone from your team in that market working the market? I have a great video called 3 Ways to Help Your Distributor Help You. You should definitely check this out. Link in the description. But in this video, I talk about how The best you can expect from your distributor is to match your efforts. So if you don't have any efforts in the market, you have no business expecting the distributor to do anything. You've got to show up. I would say a good cadence is minimum once a quarter if you don't live there. And if you live there, you need to be out and about quite a bit. Now you could say, well, isn't that the distributor's job? Well, yes, it is. And if you want to just go ahead and just leave it up to them, you're going to be sorry with the results. You've got to roll up your sleeves. You've got to go work alongside them. Get in the market, talk to people, visit customers, research where the opportunities are. There's so much to do. I'm not going to drive into what those things are to do, perhaps a good subject for another video. But don't be so quick to change distributors if you haven't been doing your part in the market. My third question for you is, have you created and do you maintain your own target account lists? One of the best ways to help your distributor help you is to know where you want your product to be sold, what type of account, and it's even better if you have specific accounts in mind. The distributors aren't mind readers. They've got a lot of masters to serve. They're very, very busy. They could really use a little direction from you. And once again, you might think, well, isn't that what I'm paying them for? Well, that's one way to look at it, but it's a losing way to look at it. If you want to win in the market, you're going to have to come alongside them, and you're going to have to help them aim their time and resources properly. And you need to aim your time and resources properly. One of the modern ways to operate in this incredibly unprecedented competitive environment that we find ourselves in is to be very specific about where you want to be sold. And it's a less is more approach. When there's more than 10,000 wineries in America, there are several thousand craft distilleries, far more than there were 4 or 5 years ago. It's a different day. It's a new game. So less is more is the key to winning in a highly competitive environment. Do your research, do your homework. I have other videos that kind of dive into this. In fact, I have one that talks about the merits of a particular account type, restaurants with outdoor seating. You should check that out for an example of what it looks like to do your own research and have your own target account. So that's my question for you. Have you created and thought about, and are you maintaining a specific list of accounts that you want to be sold and sharing that with the distributor? If not, I think it's a little hasty to be thinking about changing distributors. So my fourth and final question of you, as you evaluate whether or not to change distributors, is this: are you doing everything in your power to generate demand for your brands and your products? I have a great video about this called How to Generate Your Own Demand. You might want to check that out. But this is really key in the modern selling environment. I talk a lot about the modern selling environment. What I mean is this hyper-competitive place that we find ourselves in here as 2019 comes to a close. Way too many brands from inside the U.S. and outside the U.S., way too few distributors, and that ratio is getting worse all the time. It's not going to get any better. So you must take control of your own destiny. You must do the things that you can control. And I'm not going to dive too deeply into this today. You can check out the other video. But in summary, it's all about leveraging one of the most powerful tools in your possession, and that is email marketing. Having a relationship directly with trade buyers. You accumulate those, and then you communicate with them, and you nurture them to build relationships. One of the best ways to get more trade buyers is to have them opt in through Facebook lead ads. And you'll learn more about that in the video, How to Generate Your Demand. But if you're a small supplier or a mid-sized supplier and you're not happy with your distributor, before you pull the trigger on changing a new distributor, you must take a hard look at this point number 4 of whether or not you're generating your own demand. And if you're not, you need to go and fix that before you come back to the distributor and expect them to behave differently. You've got to do your part, and this is a very, very big and important part of that. Well, I hope this video has been helpful to you as you struggle with whether or not changing distributors is going to improve your situation. You know, John F. Kennedy said in his inaugural address, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. You know, Jesus in the Bible said, take the plank out of your own eye before you try to take the speck out of somebody else's eye. That's the principle at work here. The problem isn't your distributor. The problem is you. I don't believe that changing distributors is the answer. I think there's a lot of work you can do on your own side of the fence to improve your situation before you go consider the drastic step of changing distributors. The grass is not greener on the other side. Your grandmother probably taught you that. It's still true today.